Before we start the meeting, please put your phones on vibrate, please. Thank you. Call the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Approval of agenda. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Yeah. Amendment first, Councillor Brambat and Councillor Charlebois.
So moved by Councillor Brambat, seconded by Councillor Charlebois, that the agenda for the regular meeting of April 14th, 2025 be amended to include the following under new business: correspondence regarding the proposed salvage harvest at Rice Lake.
All in favor? Carried. Councillor, I'm sorry.
Nice.
That's all good. Sorry. Yeah.
Here.
All good. Mover and seconder to approve the agenda. Councillor Bernier and Councillor Giguere.
Moved by Councillor Bernier, seconded by Councillor Giguere, that the agenda for the regular meeting of April 14th, 2025 be approved as amended.
All in favor? Carried. Disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. I see none. Adoption of the minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Lafayette and Councillor Giguere.
Moved by Councillor Lafayette, seconded by Councillor Giguere, that the following minutes are hereby adopted. Regular meeting, March 10th, 2025, 6:30 p.m. Special meeting, March 19th, 2025, 6 p.m.
Is there any comments or questions on the minutes? I see none. All in favor? So mover and seconder for reports received as information. Sorry about that. Councillor Giguere. Councillor Tremblay.
Moved by Councillor Giguere, seconded by Councillor Tremblay, that the following reports are received as information: administration, finance, fire department, public works, and recreation.
Any comments or questions on any of them? Councillor Tremblay.
Thank you. Just for, see, Director Plunkett not here for the summer hours for the dump, and when's the date start?
For you, Mr. Mayor, the summer hours start April 1st, so it's now in summer hours.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from council? Councillor.
Your Worship, I just wanted to congratulate Director Belanger on the wrap up of the season at the arena and Just Jordan Arena. It's a great year. We got through. There was some question last year about resurfacer and stuff like that, but I think we got through the season pretty hiccup free this year, and great job by him and his team on a great maintained building, very clean building this year. And I know the work ahead probably starts already on projects inside the arena, but congratulations and good job by your team on another successful year in the Just Jordan Arena.
Thank you, Councillor Bernier. Councillor Giguere.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to touch base on the fire department, just want to thank the crew out there. They've been quite busy as of late, and some bigger calls than normal, and they're showing that their training is coming through and serving the community well. So just want to thank them and remind everyone, if you didn't get your burning permits, if you plan on burning, please get in touch with town and get one, and make sure that you're following the bylaws associated to it.
Hey, thank you, Councillor Giguere. Good. Okay. Move along. So can I get you to read it one more time?
Definitely. So that was moved by Councillor Giguere and seconded by Councillor Tremblay, that the following reports are received as information: administration, finance, fire department, public works, and recreation.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. We'll go on to the next item. B1. Go ahead, Madam Clerk.
So the next item is the council remuneration report.
Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Lafayette and Councillor Charlebois.
So moved by Councillor Lafayette, seconded by Councillor Charlebois, that the following report is received as information from the finance department, council remuneration.
Any comments or questions? Councillor Lafayette.
Let's see now, at the end of 2022, I guess, when the elections took place, there was a big kerfuffle over raises that had been kind of dumped on, I think without much fanfare, much discussion previous to the actual passing of the raises that council got. And I think council and mayor took a lot of heat for that. And I would propose that moving forward, before the next election, that council consider doing some sort of review of what the remuneration is. And I would suggest that it be raised on a regular annual basis, maybe to the tune of inflation, whatever the CPI happens to be. I think would be a wise move, as opposed to making it a one jump every 10 years or every 15 years. I don't know, it was quite some time between this last raise and the previous one before that. So I just think that that's something that council should consider going forward.
Any other comments or questions? Councilor Trombley.
Yeah, just a comment. I was reading my agenda and I think I was left out, so I felt a little left out, but
Duly noted.
it's all zeros anyways.
We'll make sure we look into that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay. All in favor? Carried. Good. Compliance manager, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Jiguer. Councilor Trombley.
Moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Trombley, that the following report is received as information from the Public Works Department Compliance Manager.
Any comments or questions? Joel, can you speak on it just a little bit?
Sure.
If you don't mind. Sorry, I know our public works director is not here, so
No, like, I mean, it's a pretty simple movement there.
just for the general public.
Yeah, so Richard Muno was the existing compliance manager and he accepted the recent posting of, at the director level within town hall, so which created the vacancy at Public Works. We posted and we were lucky enough to gain the interest of Mr. Louis Gagnon, who's been part of the team there in Waterworks for quite some years, and we were happy to offer him the position.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilor Jiguer.
So it does raise one question for myself, and I'm not sure if this is even the appropriate time to ask it, but I know we have to keep someone on call over there, I believe, for waterworks. So does that leave us shorthanded in the interim of who's on call and how far spaced out are they on call, or is that being held internally until we fill the positions?
So small crew there through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, a small crew. So there, it is like whenever there's movement within that crew, it's significant in nature. They are, it's the water system requires 24/7 coverage. So what it does, it removes one individual from that rotation, and in the interim, so they kind of share, the on call within the three. It goes to the crew first. But I know in the past, the supervisor, and I'm not sure if Louis is kind of maintaining his on call for a period of time, which he would be welcome to do. But yeah, it is, any kind of movement there is significant because they're so small.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Can I get a mover and a seconder for a full-time machine operator? Councilor Jiguer. Councilor Charlebois.
Moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Charlebois, that the following report is received as information from the Public Works Department full-time machine operator.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. We'll go on to the next item, lumberjack statue. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Jiguer and Councilor Bernier this time.
Moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Bernier, that council approve option 1 being the restoration and relocation of the lumberjack statue to the Erica Falls Museum at the total cost of $20,000, as quoted by contractor Mike Camp, and direct staff to proceed with the project.
Any comments or questions? Councilor Lepage.
Since we had the discussion and since the presentation came from Mr. McIntyre with regards to placing the statue at the museum site, I've also had somebody approach me and we had a discussion actually with at our committee level, which was the Garden Town Committee. And I think that there's another location that might be discussed, and the rationale there is visibility, parking, size of lot, etc. So I see that we have some people from the museum here, and I'm no doubt that they would like to see it there. I'm just a little concerned with the size of that statue on such a small footprint with very little parking. So maybe
Can you share the recommendation with us?
I could, yeah. The recommendation was actually at the end of Cambridge Avenue, right at the Y, where synagogue meets Cambridge, and right there at the end of the parking lot, you know, where the cenotaph is. Obviously parking, plus it's on the walking trail. Not that the museum is all that far, but I mean, it just seems to me that would be a good location as well, or, you know, probably better than the park, certainly better than out on the highway. So I just think it's another location that we hadn't really considered in the past. So I just wanted to put that out there for consideration. I mean, obviously it's going to take time before we actually bring isn't here yet. We won't be putting in the cement pads anytime soon.
So I don't know what council's appetite is to maybe defer this, or do they wanna I'll go around the table and get opinions. The Councilor Jagger, you're out first, and Councilor Bernie.
Thank you. I guess maybe a two-part question now that Councilor Page. First part is I believe we allocated 12,500 in the budget. So I know we're saying that we're going to look for more funding, but if funding isn't available, where are we taking the extra fund to cover the project? Is my first question.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and again, Clavina, feel free to correct me, but it would still come from the capital program, so capital reserve would make it a big difference.
Councilor, or another question before I go on?
I guess the second part of my question with the option one was going to the library or to the museum. Has staff already done some measuring and whatnot on how big the statue is, and if there is enough room there? Have we looked at like hydro wires and all that, or was it one for us to pick this location and then for the museum and staff to work together? Because I know that the museum was working on a little project on selling the lumberjack going there, and they were looking at this upcoming season. And I know that they're waiting on our final approval to start kind of getting out there and promoting the statue going there. So
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we did, I met with the museum staff. We looked at the site and what they had in mind. So I think right now on that corner, so on that front corner, so the lane and in front of the manor, you know, there's an old grader there right now, and that was identified as the position on the lot, so it wouldn't impact any kind of parking or anything like that. And to be fair, I think that there's enough room there in that corner to accommodate the statue. So yes, it's been with that. It's
Councilor Bernie first.
Thank you. Just in regards to the proposed suggestion by Councilor Faith, I'm not sure the town owns any property in the suggested area, because most of that area between the golf course and the parking lot of the Y is, I believe, owned by the ONR.
Probably.
And as for, like, was there concern parking for visitation of the statue?
Oh, that was one of them. Yeah. Sorry.
Because the museum has a sizable parking lot, enough to accommodate, I would guess, over probably 6 vehicles, which I don't know if 6 people are visiting that statue at the same time, but that's just my 5 cents. But I don't know if Joel wants to clarify any of that.
I think that, you know, I think that between the lane and the museum, parking lot, I guess we can call it. I would imagine there would be enough to accommodate. There would be no concern from us in terms of that.
Okay, go ahead, Councilor Brambach.
I really like the museum place, but if the proposed property by a proposed place that we could put at the post office that suggested by Councilor Lafayette, if it's not feasible, I was also considering the one at the golf course, like right across the subway. That's big open space for the visibility and more parking space as well. And it's a nice turnaround we can make there. The only problem I could have with museum space is we recently took a trip, me and Councillor Shalabwa, with Steve, to see our grader and the options to remove the snow. And there are big banks, so if it's gonna be good and proper place for a museum, then I'm okay. My first word is still museum.
Mr. Wall, could you have any insight from that? Or
I can confirm that we spoke with Director Pollock in terms of the snow removal consideration, and they did not have any concerns with the museum site.
anybody else? Councilor Five.
Just as a point of clarification, as I recall, I mean, I see that there was a price of 12.5. Originally, I thought we were talking about, and didn't we approve the budget for 26 grand initially?
Joel?
So, no, the capital program was for remediation in place
Right.
at 12,500. So there was like an older quote from a different contractor for that was quoted with 20,000, but that was also remediation in place.
Okay.
The reason we went towards relocation was when we first brought the report to council asking which locations should we consider, and we bring back information. That's where council provided direction to look at the relocation.
Okay. All right, the only other this question I would have, and I believe that there was a request by the museum to expand their storage shed. May or may not encroach. I don't know what the additional square footage was that they were looking at. Would that encroach on the existing parking that they have, whatever? I don't know that. So like you say, there's 5 or 6 cars that are available to park there now. Between that and the museum, and you know that great attraction that big guy is going to be downtown Iroquois Falls. I mean, I just don't know what it's going to turn into, right? So anyway.
Go ahead.
So I'm really happy that I met with the museum because I believe that through more efficient storage that they're not currently looking at expanding their existing facility.
Good. Okay.
Councilor, oh. Nobody else had their hand up? Well, go ahead, Councilor Jiguer.
I'd like to put a proposal or a motion on the floor that we go with option one. The reason why I'm ready to go with option one is one, the museum has made it clear to us that they want it. 2, it should help try to bring people to the museum as well. So, you know, as they are a branch of us, we should be trying to promote what is ours. And then by having a motion go forward tonight, I'm sure staff, if anything new were to arise before the statute gets in place, and if there was something that was overlooked, they would bring it back to us before we would finally bring it there. But if not, I would like to go with option 1 this evening.
Any other comments or questions before I go?
Need a
Councilor
second?
Shalabwa first.
Thanks, Your Worship.
You need a seconder to that motion. That was a motion.
I'll second it. Can I have my word on my?
Yeah.
I'll second it. So essentially, Your Worship, I think we could have done a little bit better job of public consultation. And there were some concerns about the site, as Councilor Brambach mentioned, with regards to snow and whatnot. The staff seems okay with it. The museum is as good site as any. And I think it would be wonderful to have the statue in place and repaired and in place for when the high season begins for the tourist season. And for that, I think the positives outweigh the negatives in this case, and that's why I'm seconding the motion to go with option.
Any other questions? Well, Go ahead and read the motion.
If I may, Mayor Delory, the motion was originally moved by Councillor
That's what I thought,
Jiguer,
yeah,
seconded by Councillor Bernier.
that's what I figured, yeah, okay.
Okay, so moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Bernier. That council approve option one, being the restoration and relocation of the lumberjack statue to the Airport Falls Museum at the total cost of $20,000, as quoted by contractor Mike Camp, and direct staff to proceed with the project.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you.
That's enough. Congratulations. Can I get a mover and a seconder for the hangar? Councilor Jiguer and Councilor Charlebois.
Moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Charlebois, that council approves the purchase of the privately owned 5-bay hangar located at the Airport Falls Airport for the purchase price of $400,000, including all applicable taxes.
Comments or questions? Councilor Jiguer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Good job here on staff and been able to engage with this third party. As you know, we had already had over $900,000 set aside in the budget to try to build a new hangar. And probably wouldn't have got as many bays as we're getting here for something brand new. So I think, you know, as we move forward, we've been putting money into the airport on trying to get it more attractive. And I think this is a step in the right direction, and hopefully we can continuously focus there a little bit and get more traffic. So,
I'm glad we got a very progressive council that's moving things forward in our community, and I really appreciate that. And the airport is vital to our success, so great move from everybody involved. So any other comments or questions, Councilor Fire?
I'll agree with Councillor Jiguer for one thing, but I think that there's a real opportunity here for the community to grow what's going on out there. And I think it's pretty evident that we needed the space. It's there. I think we've already got people that are looking to rent the place, so we're going to be doing very well with that. So congratulations.
That's moving in the right direction. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Councilor Charlebois.
Thank you, Your Worship. It's just a continuance of our vision of expanding and the airport facility, the airport services. We're in it for good now. And this is a good deal for the municipality. These are the kinds of things that in years to come, people will maybe not realize all the work that was done to get from point A to point B, but this is another stepping stone in getting the airport where we want it to be for the future.
A lot of transportation options, our ONR and everything to our rail, and yeah, we're in a good spot. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Town hall renovation, and moving a second, please. Councilor Jiguer. Councilor Tremblay.
Moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Tremblay, that council accepts a proposal from Architecture 49 in the amount of $15,435 plus HST, and directs staff to proceed with the preliminary design for town hall renovation expansion.
Any comments or questions? Councilor Jiguer.
just want to state here that this is mandated. This isn't us just choosing that we want to renovate town hall. You know, there's pretty strong language that has come out, and basically to get into compliance, we have to start. And I think you know, it's about time that we're moving in this direction. So I look forward to seeing the drawings come back.
Any other comments from anybody else? All in favor? Carried. Appointment to the South Fork Plan OVP Attachment Board. Can I get a mover and a second, please? Councilor Cavell. Councilor Jiguer. I know myself, I'd like to sit on this committee as the mayor, and I believe the Mayor Madison and Dr. Madison is sitting on the committee too. Is there any other councilors that feel like they might want to be involved? Councilor Cavell?
Yeah.
You like to? Councilor Brown? Yeah. Is everybody okay with that, or is there any discussion, or?
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Is there any comments or questions? Councilor Jiguer.
Just a quick comment, as I believe it's, it's important for us to engage in a board like this, is that, not that long ago, we had just asked to have a look at all the boards and committees that we were on, because most of us are on 4 to 5 different boards. And sometimes it's tough just to make them all, so hopefully we haven't forgot about that, but
No, I appreciate it.
congratulations to your group.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I get you the recap, please?
So moved by Councillor Brandbat, seconded by Councillor Jiguer, that council for the town of Iroquois Falls hereby appoints Mayor Delorier and Councillor Brandbat as representatives on the South Porcupine OPP Detachment Board.
All in favor? Carried. Corporate Ag Society, request for municipal grant. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Jiguer, Councilor Bernier. I asked staff earlier what we did last year, and supposedly we gave $500. We did get $500, so I don't know if council wants to do that again. I believe we didn't spend no money so far this year,
That's correct.
That's right. so, Councilor Bernier.
Thank you, Your Worship. We've had the opportunity over the last year, possibly 2, I think, since this, the Stampede and Rodeo has been here, or in Porpoise, apologize. The last 2 years, remarkable what they've been able to do out there. In Porpoise, it's drawing attention from much more than just our community. It's probably one of, if not the biggest event in our municipality the last 2 years. And I got to go 1 year, the summer before last, without any expectations on what I was going to attend. And then this year they managed to grow the event even bigger to something that was even more impressive. So, one, I want to congratulate this committee who's put on something quite large, quite impressive, and it seems like it's going to continue to grow. And I would suggest that the town of Iroquois Falls needs to come in big here. I know last year we did 500. I don't know what the appetite for council would be to possibly up that a little bit, $750,000. Something like this takes a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of dedication, and if we're not holding a part of this as council or as a town of Iroquois Falls in these activities, I don't know what we're doing, because we want to be attracting people to our municipality. The economic spin-off in our community is ginormous. There are people camping out there all weekend. They're using, our restaurants, our corner stores, our grocery stores, everything in between, our gas station, everything else. So I would suggest, at the very least, we do what we did last year, but I would be, I'd like to hear what other councillors have to say about it, but I would suggest upping it at least a little bit to continue to help out with this.
So this is the 3rd year doing this. They did it a few years ago. And so they asked me to attend an AGM and be a guest speaker. And that was about 3 years ago, I guess. And then at that event, I suggested they, bring that back. Well, that night they came to me and says, we're going to bring it back. And they've been very good. They did a lot of hard work. And like you say, it takes a lot of manpower and dollars to make something like this happen. They have to bring in benches and everything, and it's a big cost. And I like what you said. I like to up it a little bit too. And go ahead.
Before we go to the other councillors on this, could we ask, I'm seeing here, Mr. Sear has the sponsorship packages available on the website. So maybe if he could read at least what we did last year with the 500, and I'm seeing there's a silver sponsorship, just maybe we can hear out before we make a decision on what the benefits are.
That's fair.
The requested package was the arena package at $500, which included partner listed on the website, social media, business listed in rodeo pamphlet, PA announcement during the performances, 4-day passes for the rodeo, and then black and white partner signage placed at the arena. So the next package is for the silver package at $1,000, and it's It's all the same, except, you get 6-day passes and a colored signage placed at the most prominent locations of the rodeo. And then they go on.
Yeah.
Gold 15, diamond 25, and platinum 5,000.
I like $1,000 myself, but
Yeah,
Councilor
second,
Brown.
that I would say the same thing.
Yeah.
Let's do the second, $1,000 because it's quite expensive event too.
So did I get a mover and a second?
You did, would
I
you like
did.
me to read the motion?
Yeah,
So this would have been moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Bernier. That council approves the municipal grant for the Porquist Stampede and Rodeo Show through the purchase of a silver package in the amount of $1,000.
is there any other comments or questions? Councilor Shaw.
Your worship. And then item count will be entertaining the possibility of an in-kind donation and looking at the value of that is to be $700-800 for in-kind. So the way I look at it is an in-kind is a passing on potential revenue. A donation is the disbursement of actual revenues as a donation. To me, they're about the same. It's just left hand, right hand. Given the nature of this particular project, the increasing attendance of it and popularity, I think this is justified.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Fire.
$500 is a lot of cash from my perspective. This event actually nets them a lot of money too. I know that it costs them a fortune to run it. I have concerns that I think it's great that they're pulling this off but it's an outdoor event and it always scares the heck out of me every time summer comes around here and all they need is one bad weekend and they're going to lose their shirts. However, that's not our issue. $1,000 is 20% of what our total donations could be for the year. Is there any idea how much we've tapped into that total amount? Like last year, for example, how much did we spend or not spend, but contribute in terms of donations? Do we know that?
Yeah, so if I may, last year, we had $5,000.
Yep.
In that, and we did use by the end of the year, the 5,000. This year, right now, we still have 5,000 remaining. We haven't used any of that yet.
It's only April.
Councilor Brownback first and then Councilor Fire.
Just to mention, if like we haven't tapped into it yet, and if we calculate, if you break it down to quarters, we haven't used the first quarter $2,500, like $1,250. So if we add it to that, we are still plus of $250 for this quarter. And then we can contribute to different events by 10% or 5%, depending on the size of the event or request of the donation.
Councilor Bernier.
Thank you. Just to touch on your point about using it last year, I just want to remind council that last year we had upwards of $1,200 remaining until the last meeting of the year where a committee came and asked us for the balance. So we did have $1,200 until the last meeting of the year, just food for thought.
But maybe after today, we'll get a lot more. That'd be awesome. Yeah, I agree. Go ahead. Anybody else? So I'll let you read the motion one more time and then we'll do.
So it was moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Bernier. That council approves a municipal grant for the Porquist Stampede and Rodeo Show through the purchase of a silver package in the amount of $1,000.
And like I say, if this year happens that more people come, we'll just have to relook at it next year and go from there. So all in favor? Carried. We'll move on to Earl Porter and Lane's lease agreement. Can I get a move in the second, please? Councilor Brownback and Councilor Trombley.
Moved by Councillor Brownback, seconded by Councillor Trombley, that council approve an agreement between Earl Porter Lanes and the town of Erskine Falls for the lease of the bowling alley located at 723 St. Claus Avenue through the execution of a bylaw.
Any comments or questions? Councilor Bernier?
Thank you, worship. I sit on the Earl Porter Lanes board. I had a quick conversation today, leading into our meeting, which will be held tomorrow for this quarter, with the president or the chair of the board, and she just wanted to extend her gratitude to council and the town of Great Falls for continuously working with them. They did not have any concerns with the increase whatsoever. They're very happy with where that's sitting. Although obviously nobody ever wants to see an increase. This is a fair one in their opinion, as well as they want to thank again the town and council for the work that they shared that they're doing quite well over there. And it's through help from a lot of people in the community and some adjustments they've made to their level of service. That's obviously been very interesting to take part in. We're seeing a ginormous increase in traffic at Airport Lane. So just wanted to thank the community for that and thank council and the town of Great Falls for that as well.
And please thank them for all their hard work from us. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay, we'll go on to NOHFC, a resolution of the library and museum, Focus Community Hall projects. Can I get a move in a second, please? Councilor Trombley and Councilor LaPlante.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor LaPlante. Whereas the town of Iroquois Falls recognizes the importance of a project to protect the physical structure of the museum, enhance the library space, and support the Portworth Recreation Center. And whereas the total cost of the museum, library, and Portworth Recreation Center is $784,979. Whereas the town of Iroquois Falls is seeking financial support from the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation in the amount of $499,999 through a conditional grant. Whereas the town of Iroquois Falls commits to providing the remaining amount of $284,980 to ensure the successful completion of the project. And whereas the town of Iroquois Falls commits to covering any project-related costs, overruns that they should incur. Therefore, be it resolved that the town of Iroquois Falls supports the NOHFC application for the museum, library, and Portworth Rec Center and authorizes the submission of the application.
Any comments or questions? Councilor LaPlante.
Excuse me, all of these facilities are municipal infrastructure, and I believe it's safe to say that all three of them have been waiting a long time for these renovations. It's very impressive that we have organizations that are helping us operate these places, and it's not really costing a whole lot, like in terms of their volunteerism. And we should celebrate that. By all means, I think that we need to do everything we can to help them out and make sure that we protect our own infrastructure for the taxpayers of this municipality, for that matter.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. We're an SUV purchase. Can I get a mover in a second, please? Councilor Tremblay and Councilor Jiguer.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Jiguer, that staff be authorized to accept proposal 1 for 2025 Chevrolet Equinox all-wheel drive 4-door from Timmins Garage for the approximate price of $36,094 plus HST.
Comments or questions? Councilor Charlebois.
Get it out for the prices go through the roof.
Very good comment. Councilor Jiguer.
Thank you, your worship. Looking at what we had budgeted and where we're gonna be, I think we found what we're gonna pay for the rest of our money to get to town from the highway. But I just want everyone to realize that, one, this was a budget item, and two, staff actually moved around some vehicles, took trucks where they were not before, gave them to departments that needed them, and now we are taking the most affordable option to have a vehicle come to town hall. So, good job done by staff there, and not just saying, well, we have the 60 grand, so let's just go buy another truck. We actually moved around some fleet and are taking, a very proactive approach here. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anybody else? All in favor? Carried. Backup generator. Can I get a mover in a second, please? Councilor Tremblay. Councillor Jiguer,
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Jiguer, that staff be authorized to purchase one emergency backup generator from Cooper Equipment for the estimated cost of $91,922.
any comments or questions? Councillor Jiguer.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not sure if someone has the answer here, but I think we already have a couple of Generacs already in circulation, if I'm not mistaken. So I guess my question is for $4,000 going to a new supplier, like when it comes time to having servicing done on these units, are we actually going to end up spending more money in the long run, having to have somebody different come in service these units? And for $4,000, are we better off just to stay with Generac to look at cost down the road, or not sure if that wasn't took in consideration?
So thank you, Councillor Jiguer. Yeah, it was considered, and you know, the servicing contractor can still be consistent.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Yeah, then moving second for the next item. Councillor Tremblay and Councillor Jiguer.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Jiguer, that council accepts the tender submission from TriCube Contracting in the amount of $74,250 plus HST, and authorizes the attached contract to be finalized through the execution of a bylaw.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Moving to second for Total Street Maintenance, Inc. Councillor Tremblay and Councillor Jiguer.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Jiguer, that council accepts the submission from Total Street Maintenance to prepare and lay asphalt patches, repair and replace concrete sidewalks, repair and replace concrete curbs throughout the municipality for the estimated cost of $158,320, excluding HST, and authorizes the attached contract to be finalized through the execution of a bylaw.
Comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Waive, Falls Asset Transit Committee waive license event rental fees at the community center. Can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Tremblay and Councillor LaFave.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor LaFave, that council approves the request on behalf of the Erica Falls Access Transit Committee to waive the licensed event rental fees associated with the Erica Falls Community Center.
Comments or questions? Councillor Bernier.
Thank you, Worship. So it's important to notice in the issues and options portion of this report that the town of Eric Falls has permitted the Access Transit Committee to use the center at no charge. In the past, there was an agreement that was made in the sale of the hall way back when the sale of the
For
hall.
10 years, yeah.
It says in the report here that there is no renewed agreement. And I'm wondering if, because I'm seeing this kind of request is being made annually, if we should consider renewing that with them. Just simple fact for me is that this was their hall previously. It was sold to or purchased by the town of Rick Falls. And there was obviously great reason why that was made in the first place. So I'm just wondering if council would have the appetite to possibly renew that at a point, or at least have a discussion about it.
I was thinking the same thing myself, because when I was on council back then, the agreement was only for 10 years, but as a municipality, we don't like put money into something like this, that's bonus. So if to give a free hall rental here and there, better than putting out money on an annual basis and everything. But I'd like to have a long-term agreement with them also. I don't know if we go 5 years, 10 years, I'm not sure what the appetite of council is, but I think we should support them somehow, because I know, back in the day, my father had to use it also, and it's a great access, like if people have to get to the hospital, do their groceries, and there's a lot of people that need this service, so.
I also would concur with that, your worship, if I may just continue, on that point. Obviously, great service to the municipality needs, and without this committee, we don't have it, and then, what does the price tag look like if this council needs to start going down the road of having our own service if Access Transit doesn't exist? They've also had some major, maintenance issues with their vehicles. I think they've had to go through 3 vehicles in the last year and a half because of failure, extended period of time where there wasn't a bus because of the failure beyond their control on one of their vehicles. They had to temporarily buy a whole new vehicle with the wheelchair accessibility in it, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it would be, with lack of better terms, a certain black eye on us if we didn't at least consider, helping them out. They're putting on these events, 1, to entertain people of our community again, and 2, to help themselves survive.
And spin-offs too, to our community. You know what they're doing. I agree. Is there an appetite to go 5 or 10 years? Councilor Fire.
I would certainly support that idea, and I'll only echo the comment that you've already made, is that this is a great service for the community, and we got to do everything we can to make sure that it continues. So by all means, I think I don't have a problem with a 10-year program. It was done before, so why not renew it? And that way they don't have to keep coming back to council.
That's right. And it's encouraging that association too to keep on going, right? Because we're behind it and supporting it. Any other comments for council? Oh, go ahead, Steve.
This is wonderful, and thank you for the information. I guess one question would be on there. I had noted that the request for the hall had been reduced down to 1 event, as of late, and I was in speaking with the Access Transit committee themselves. They have started to use the Iroquois or the hall at the Iroquois Sports Complex. Just looking for direction. I can prepare, or assist in the development of an agreement. I wonder, are we looking at 1, 2?
What was it previous?
Once upon a time, it was 3,
3.
but then it's been, again, they've come down. Last year, there was a single request. This year, they're not anticipating any requests beyond this one. So I'm just.
Go ahead.
Just a suggestion, if I could, through you, Mr.
Yeah.
Mayor. Why don't we just say up to 3 events per year?
At either.
Doesn't matter where,
At either hall.
at either hall.
As long as the proceeds goes to that organization, I'm fine with that myself. Go ahead.
If I can make a suggestion, and obviously, Director Belongia, it'd be best to comment, but if we would switch from possibly the number of events to the in-kind donation amount that council would be comfortable with, it would remove this kind of 3 or 4. If 1 year they have 4 events, but they're not as expensive, it might be better to ask Mr. Belongia to bring back a report and say, typically 3, it's approximately this amount of money in kind, and then kind of move forward, and then it might do better long-term as well in a 10-year agreement where budgets increase, incrementally every year, that would kind of follow you as well.
Councilor Jiguer.
Correct me if I'm wrong, please, Director Belanger, but I believe this group here typically like to, it's not like you're leaving a big mess either, correct? Like, from what I've seen in the past, sometimes, after an event, they're starting to put chairs away and you're still in there, and trying to get the place tidied up. So, making an in-kind donation, I'm not sure. I also don't think it gives a lot of extra work to the rec department, when they are hosting an event. So, I would be fine with the proposal or from Mr. Gurney.
I would definitely agree with Councilor Jiguer on that, and as well, I think it's mentioned in maybe Director Belongia can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe, despite the fact that they have the hall at no cost, they do continue to pay the fee, the cleaning fees associated.
Yeah, they always
Which is, again, negates that entire burden if there ever was one.
Yeah, I believe that's what it was in the past also, I believe.
That's
Right.
correct.
Yeah.
Since this motion is to actually relieve them of a payment for 1 event, we can just approve that and then maybe provide direction that they come back with a report for the next meeting.
That
Or
sounds fair.
sometime soon.
So it's council's appetite between 5 and 10 years. So Steve,
I'm good. I'm good for 10 years.
I'm good with 10. So can you try and draft something up for 10 years, Mr. Belanger? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So on this one, is everybody okay? Can I get you to read the motion and then we'll have a vote? Please.
I'm just gonna add to the motion, Mayor
Yeah.
Dory, to reflect the report.
Yeah, sorry. Take your time.
So it's been moved by Councillor Tremblay and seconded by Councillor Lefebvre that council approves the request on behalf of the Air Falls Access Transit Committee to waive the licensed event rental fees associated with the Air Falls Community Center, and that council further directs staff to bring back a report to council regarding the Access Transit Committee rental fees.
Good. Good. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. For flooring for the Irk Falls Public Library, can I get a mover in a second, please? Councillor Tremblay and Councillor Daguerre.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Daguerre, that council authorize staff to proceed with the award of supply and installation of flooring for the Erica Falls Public Library to Erica Falls Timber Mart and Savage Marksman Contracting at a sum of $25,903.86.
Any comments or questions? Councillor Five.
Is Savage Marksman Contracting paying their business license, Mr. Corbina? It's a rhetorical question. The Savage Marksman Contracting, are they a local contracting business that are paying their dues, their fees for a business license in the community? I have never heard of them before. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I haven't either. I will check and confirm it.
Thank you.
In this meeting.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Councillor Daguerre?
I believe before we engage in an actual contract, that staff is gonna make sure that all the appropriate, like WSIB paperwork and all that will be in order before actually awarding the contract. correct?
Insurance.
Insurance, all that, right? Okay, I'm good with that, thanks.
All in favor? Carried. We'll move on to our bylaws. For the first bylaw with Miller Paving Limited, I'd like to move in second, please. Councillor Tremblay and Councillor Daguerre.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Daguerre, that bylaw 382125 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between Miller Paving and the Corporation of the Town of Irka Falls for winter sand be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 14th day of April 2025.
All in favor? Carried. Another one, total street maintenance. Can I get a mover in a second, please? Councillor Daguerre and Councillor Brambach.
Moved by Councillor Daguerre, seconded by Councillor Brambach, that bylaw number 382225 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between Total Street Maintenance and the Corporation of the Town of Irka Falls be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 14th day of April 2025.
All in favor? Carried. Procedure, rules. Can I get a mover in a second, please?
Procedure bylaw.
Yes. Councillor Tremblay and Councillor Lefebvre.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Lefebvre, that bylaw number 382325 being a bylaw to establish rules of procedure be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 14th day of April 2025.
Any comments or questions?
Other than me?
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Lefebvre.
All right, page 11 of 28, the item is under conduct, 1.24. 1.242, no member shall use an electronic device in any opened or closed meeting such as a cell phone to communicate through text or email with another member, staff, or any other third party. Mr. Mayor, I believe that we've had significant breaches to that bylaw in the past. This is an existing, there is no change. This has been written, so if there are no comments from the other council members, I hope that we can adhere to that going forward.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Bernier.
Thank you, worship. Although I completely understand the rationale and the reason behind this, I'll give you a personal example of myself. I, with my employer, am on call, through periods of the weeknights. And if I can't have my cell phone on me, I'll unfortunately have to either withdraw myself from being at this council meeting or attend it from home where I may be able to use my cell phone because I cannot not have that. I can't have a job if I don't do that.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor LaFalle.
Then I don't have a problem with that. If that's declared in advance, there should be no issue. It's the same if there's a council member who is a firefighter, then I expect them to have a beeper. But for council members to be going back and forth with family members or friends or whatever it is that people communicate with, I don't think it's proper. So, if it's work related, I don't have a problem with that.
I agree.
But I think that could be reported at the meeting, at the beginning of the meeting, saying, this is why it's here.
Fair enough. I agree with that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Councillor Jiguer.
So that's stated in here.
No, it
If
isn't.
I declare at the beginning of a meeting that,
No, could be added.
so will have to be added. Right?
I can certainly add that.
Is there a way of getting like, because every meeting you're gonna have people declare, so like every meeting's gonna have to do that, right?
Not every meeting,
Well, every meeting has his, he's on call.
if he's on call.
Go, Councillor.
But my current employer, as I'll be open and transparent, I'm a salaried employee. I'm expected to answer my phone when it goes off, as I'm a department head and there could be an emergency at any time. So for me, it will be for every meeting.
Yeah, I just wanted to be, in my opinion, then that helps at every meeting, that's this, the same people, I just. So, the appetite is Councillor Jiguer.
I have no issues interrupting you at the start of every meeting to declare. something.
Yeah, but that's just more of a, I don't think it's necessary. We have to be on an honor system, I think, and, you know what I mean, we have to stick to it, we have to appreciate everything that everybody's doing, and from now on, please just keep it to, job related and fire department. Councillor.
I guess the other possibility is if there happens to be, because I believe that when you're at a meeting, you're supposed to be paying attention to what's going on at the meeting. If you get a call or there's a message that comes on your phone,
Has to be excused.
then step up.
Yeah.
You don't have to be typing away on your cell phone
That's
in response to an emergency. If it is an emergency, by all means, so that we can continue.
Ask the chair to be excused. I like that idea.
If I may add to that, your worship, I think that to a certain degree that becomes your responsibility as a chair, that
Yeah.
you need to manage that. as
Yeah,
well.
no, I appreciate that. I'd rather do it that way myself, if everybody's okay with that, at the council level. Do we have to add that to anything, or are we able just to, for good? Okay. Any other comments or questions on this one? All in favor? Carried. Earl Portal Lane, and I get a mover and a seconder. Councilor Trombley and Councilor Brambach.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Brambach, that bylaw number 382425 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between the corporation of the town of Iroquois Falls and the board of Earl Porter Lanes for the lease of the bowling alley be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 14th day of April 2025.
Any comments or questions? All in favor? Carried. Road resurfacing, can I get a mover and a seconder, please? Councilor Jiguer. Councilor Trombley.
Moved by Councillor Jiguer, seconded by Councillor Tremblay, that bylaw number 382525 being a bylaw to authorize the execution of an agreement between Tri-Tube Contracting and the corporation of the town of Iroquois Falls be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 14th day of April 2025.
Comments or questions on this one? Pretty straightforward, I think. All in favor? Carried. At this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess, please. Thank you. I need a mover and a seconder for correspondence, please. Councilor Tremblay and Councilor Jiguer.
Moved by Councillor Tremblay, seconded by Councillor Jiguer, that the following is received as correspondence. Carrie and Adam Boucher, thank you letter. Municipal Engineers Association 2025 Bursary Awards Program. 2025 Senior of the Year, Minister for Seniors and Accessibility. Erica Falls Arts Council meeting minute February 19th, 2025. Erica Falls Chamber of Commerce, meeting minutes February 24th, 2025, and correspondence regarding the proposed salvage harvest at Rice Lake.
Any comments or questions on any of these? Councilor Bernier.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to take time to acknowledge, mention, and thank the Boucher family. Chief, thank you very much for your continued efforts in supporting these events and putting on these events. I know you guys spend countless very tiresome hours putting this on. It seems that unfortunately every year you guys have a successful event. We recircle at this time of year and have to talk about the fact that we've lost another community member to this very topic. Again, in this year, I believe we've lost a few community members, very close proximity in age with myself, who have unfortunately passed away to, collective addiction and substance abuse. So I again want to thank the Boucher family and all of their organizing committee for putting on this event. It's obviously much needed. It's a big success every year from what we hear. I was unable to attend this year, but the reviews were excellent. The number of participants just impressively keeps growing. I believe it was 10 teams this year with like 17 players. That's an incredible amount of hockey players in our arena throughout a weekend. And please make sure everybody on the organizing committee knows that we will continue to support at the very least, if not from council, which I think is one voice on this. From a personal level, please keep us apprised of anything you may need to get through this, because it's something that we hope to see continue to run for years.
Okay, Council, thank you, Councilor. Any other comments or questions on any of the next items?
I was just the one on the Municipal Engineers Association. I'm assuming that this is being shared with the employees for their own kids to participate in potentially. So it's important, I think, if we can get some students that are applying to this.
And the next thing I'd like to talk about is the Senior of the Year. That was brought up to my attention. That's something the council should look into, and if you want us to nominate anybody, just let Maureen know, and we'll go from there. Is that okay, Maureen?
Definitely, Mayor.
Is there not a deadline to that? I think it's very soon,
April
isn't it?
30th.
Yeah.
Is it April 30th? So we can have a proposal by the 28th?
You're allowed more than one, eh?
This would be one person per municipality.
Okay.
Can that go up on our town page so that anybody can nominate anybody, or is it?
I
Good
could put-
idea. That's a good
For
idea.
you, Mr. Mayor, I can definitely put something together for that. That way we could take input from the community for this.
Good idea.
So you bring it back to the next council meeting? Does that give you enough time? or-
If I may, I'll put something up on our webpage. I could put a deadline with it, and then I could bring that back to the 28th.
Yeah.
The application would have to be in by the 30th, so I could do the application for that the following day.
Okay, thank you. I believe Councilor Lafayette wants to talk about Rice Lake harvest.
Certainly do. Thank you, Mayor Delorier. So once again, this issue is before council. Just to give a little bit of refresher for everybody, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, we had an ice storm out at Rice Lake, and there was some damage to some of the trees. I guess one of the local contractors went to the ministry, and they could go in there and
Excuse me, sorry about that.
do a salvage cut. which normally would require 50% damage across the area that they want to harvest. We walked through that 2 years ago, this past January, and I'd be very surprised if there was 50% damage. You know, I'm not a forester, and looking at the damage that was out there, most of the trees that were damaged were the small ones. Ice storms are an element of nature, occurs pretty well every year around here, and probably more as we move forward. The problem with that area that is, and the area that's proposed to being cut is that there is an actual area that is close to the lake that has been cut and not too many years ago, and that raised a lot of concerns with the people that actually live out there. There's another cut that's very close to the highway, which is, I guess, a little bit south of that. But if this cut goes according to the plan, and this is the plan, apparently, I don't know how the heck they're going to keep within those lines. So that would basically merge all of those cuts together. And as a consequence, other than seeing a few trees on either side of the road, basically the landscape will be devastated. I think there's good reason to be concerned on a number of different levels. The main one, as far as I'm concerned, is that the ministry told us, and actually told the town, because the town was copied on this, but told the IFCFC that which is sorry to use an acronym, but the Iroquois Falls Community Forest Committee would have a negotiation with the ministry to come to terms with whether or not they felt comfortable. You got to watch that, because I'm just the liaison to that committee. It's not we, it's they. And I think it's fair to say that the IFCFC is certainly not satisfied with what the company has proposed. The ministry, as I said, suggested last June that they would prefer if that the two parties could come to an agreement. There is no agreement. The district manager came out with a letter on Friday and said, I've approved it, that he's approved that cut. That's not appropriate as far as I'm concerned, and I don't think it should be appropriate as far as the council is concerned. I can tell you it's not appropriate according to the IFCFC. We met on Sunday and to discuss this, and as you can see, there's a letter that was written by Dr. Vakaroff in response to his point. And there's a lot to be discussed about this, and that's why I had Dr. Tom put together the package for background information for everybody to review. I don't really know what could be done in the short term other than for them to respond to this letter. Other than, I think personally, I think that this council has to sit down and decide what it's going to do to push back against this type of activity by the Ministry of Natural Resources that allows basically unfettered access to forest stands within our community. It's different if it's up the Abitibi limits, it's outside of town limits, but when it comes in and it's in your backyard and it's affecting potentially your lake levels, your water quality, the aesthetics of the community as a whole, that this town should have a say in what actually happens within our corporate boundaries. And for the ministry to be able to just do this and breaching their own word, as far as I'm concerned, not only unconscionable, but it's just not ethical. And so I would like to suggest that we do have a meeting, hopefully don't have to call it an emergency meeting, but I think we need a special meeting to discuss the ramifications of this. You can have the time to review the documentation. If you need any more questions, I would certainly suggest that we have the IFCFC there. I would love to have that meeting convened between the IFCFC and the Abitibi River Forest Management, Inc., with or without ministry sitting at the table and saying, why is it you're telling us one thing and then you're turning around and doing something else? I think it's only right.
Any other comments or questions? Sorry, we can't take any questions from the audience during the council meeting at this time.
I can't shout out anything.
No, sorry. Any other comments or questions, Councilor Bruno?
Thank you. More for clarification, Councilor Lefebvre, can you just take us through what a salvage cut is as opposed to, I don't know, I'm the last guy, terminology, harvesting cut or anything like that?
Okay. The block, Clerg 190, was set up as a contingency cut, in the forest management plan for 2022 to 2032. Okay, it's a 10-year plan that they developed. A contingency cut is usually set up so that, let's say that they have a plan to go and cut a block of wood or timber, and there's a fire there. So contingency is you can go and you can cut over here, okay? There's been no such thing as that. So that block was in there as a contingency. May or may not use it in that 10-year plan. I guess initially it might have been challenged as a contingency cut, given what I just said, right? Like, you know, had people been on the, I guess, paying more attention to the plan and saying, well, wait a minute here, why would you even consider it a contingency cut? But anyway, that's essentially, you know, what it means from my opinion. And I'm not a forester either, so I don't, but I could tell you from what I've heard and what's been discussed at our meetings, that's what it's for. In this case, because of the ice damage or the ice storm, again, the criteria to make it a salvage cut is there has to be 50% damage within that stand. 50% of the trees standing. There's no way. We walked that stand last year. There is no way that it's 50% damage. Not a chance. In fact, like I said, natural and you know, with environmental issues such as ice storms, which we get on occasion, it always takes out small trees. It's just the way it is. It's nature. Mm-hmm. So the small trees get knocked over, the other trees that are left grow and become, you know, healthier trees. Another, you know, so essentially that's the rationale there. So they did not prove to the IFCFC, and I'm talking the ministry and the company, did not prove to the IFCFC that there was 50% damage. So the IFCFC went back and proposed alternative cuts. If you want to go in and take out the dead trees, by all means, go ahead. You know, but trees die in the forest all the time. It's not like they create forest fires just because they fall over eventually. You know, this argument that a dead tree in the forest causes forest fires, I don't want to hear that anymore. You know, that's ridiculous. That's not why forest fires happen. Mostly it's because of people or lightning strikes. So it can happen. But the thing is those in that area, of course, is leading into a residential area. It's recreational. It's you know, it's within corporate boundaries, and you know, people are going to get in there in their trails because they're all accessible. There's trails right through there. They're not mapped properly, by the way. That's the other problem, is they're not mapped here properly. So people can go in there and they can cut those trees, the dead trees down, and they'll take them out and they'll be all cleaned up in no time. There'll be no forest fire problems issue, you know. So anyway, that's, I don't know if there's anything more that I can answer.
So my question more is this a full cut? Are they're cutting, like, are they cutting all of the trees? Like, when I hear salvage, you know, my brain wants to say they're going to salvage the forest, take away what's broken, but this is, they're cutting it down completely is what they're saying.
The forest management prescription for a jack pine forest is clear cut. That's what they do. And that's all jack pine. So will they leave, you know, I mean, I think the company initially said that any undamaged forest up to 10 hectares, which is about approximately 25 acres, wouldn't be touched. Okay, and who's going to monitor that? We have some experience with some of the contractors that have operated within the corporate boundaries in the last little while that I've mentioned to you in the past. And I don't think that their evaluation can be trusted. And then once the trees are gone, they're gone, right? So the only other thing that was left was, and which was appreciated by the IFCFC, was the fact that they're gonna leave a buffer along the road on the way in, which is there. But I mean, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's about the only benefit. And wherever there are trails, they're supposed to have them mapped out, and the trails are supposed to have buffers. So if you're talking, you know, in this case, I was told this is up to 120 hectares, which is about 120 hectares is roughly just under 300 acres. It's a pretty significant cut. And if that's what's left going into Rice Lake, I think it's going to be a pretty sad day for the people living there.
My question is, what's the time frame? Did they give us a time frame?
Nope, not yet. But I'm one of the reasons why they started talking about this is the claim was that if you don't get in there and cut the wood soon, the bugs are going to get in there and the wood is going to be unmerchantable. Fine, and that could well be true, but we're coming on our third summer. So it's already gone through 2 summers. I would imagine the wood that is dead now has already been infested. And I would almost guarantee that it's probably, and like I said, it's small diameter wood. So that's not why they're going in there. They're going in there to take out everything. That's the way I believe, or as much as they can. So.
Councilor, oh, sorry. I didn't get hand up. Any other comments or questions? So what's council's appetite? Councilor Bernier?
I mean, I personally think Councilor Lefebvre's request of requesting a meeting with the ministry is not, you know, I think it's almost necessary at this point. We've been hearing, you know, issues with, I don't want to say issues with the management of forest around our community, but it's almost what it is, you know, there are 2 very different opinions in our community when it comes to this, and obviously the IFCFC has expressed some great concerns, which they have some professionals on board that have expressed some concerns many times over the course of our term, and even previous to our term on council, that this has been an issue. So I would say there's definitely no harm in at least requesting a sit down and seeing where we can take this to find common ground and come to an agreement for the sake of our community, because, you know, there are some gentlemen at the back of the room that are obviously going to be affected with this amongst many others. And I could say that if a clear cut happens in my backyard, I would definitely be fighting tooth and nail to have it. So I think it's our responsibility as a council to at the very least do what we're able to do in this circumstance. And find an agreement. You know, does something need to be done with the forest? Possibly. We don't have that full information, but at the end of the day, we need to sit down, get that full information from both sides, and then find out the reason why, and maybe come to an agreement, like you say, at least protect the trails and the aesthetics of everything around it.
So, and you're requesting a special meeting?
I think that's in order. Like, you know, I'm glad that look, I think that there needs to be a meeting between the IFCOC. There's already been a meeting with all 3 parties. The problem is there's been no agreement, right? So we have to come to some sort of an agreement that the IFCFC can accept. And if that's not, you know, if the ministry has decided to change their direction, then I think it's only legitimate that we should ask why and find out why. I also understand that the flip side of that is there are people who are counting on that, you know, as a job close to home, that they can go in and work. But like I said, you know, there's a whole lot of forest around Iroquois Falls that they could be cutting.
So
does it have to be in somebody's backyard? Yes, I think we should have a meeting.
Special meeting or?
Well, I was thinking, I didn't think that we were going to be able to have this wholesome discussion here tonight with council. I think if council could write a letter to the ministry and saying that the council is requesting this meeting between the 3 parties, and, you know, as representative, as liaison to the committee, I could sit on behalf of council, or if some other member of council wants to come on board, absolutely.
You're allowed the 3 members of council for a round 2.
There you go. There you go. So if anybody else wants to participate, I would welcome other people, other members of council to participate, because I think this is something that's going to keep coming at us until we either continue to allow what's been going on, or that we set up some sort of ground rules where if there's going to be a cut within the community should have a say.
And I believe this has, if it's gonna be done, if council wants this, has to be done in a timely fashion.
Absolutely, real
As soon as
fast.
possible. Council Shalom.
It's a big matter, your worship, and even just a little bit of talking around the room earlier. There are various opinions, and we don't necessarily all agree on some of the subject matter. But I think in this case, for example, the buffers in the letter, the buffers for aesthetic reasons, that's a subjective thing, okay? It's like, oh, it's visibility and it doesn't look good. That's purely subjective. But for that reason and other reasons, I think that if we went to the MTO with an objective matter, and I think that we can all agree on, for example, the control of blowing and drifting snow. Because if you look, that's what's going to happen to Rice Lake and what's going to continue to happen along Municipal Road. We've already tasted it. We know what the drifting is causing, extra cost, extra expense, and danger to the public. It's legitimate, it's objective, it's provable and visible, and they can't deny it. If we're looking for a reason to meet with them, that we can say, this is a door opener, if we're putting the door, we can start here, and it doesn't stop us from touching on other matters, but certainly this is one. This would be as good, I think, as any, if not other, where we can pick something very specific to say to them, we'd like to speak with you about that, and perhaps touch on a few other things.
So if council wishes, I'm just gonna make maybe by Thursday, a letter can be sent out from myself and with the, of course, this town staff being involved in the communication, asking for a meeting, a round table with 3 council reps. Is there any reps from council that'd like to sit on that committee, up to 3? Council of 5, either you wanted to be interested, anything
Definitely.
else?
Definitely.
I'm not saying we're gonna do that, but I'm just rolling it up for, go ahead.
It's like, I'm a strong believer, your worship, in using the assets that we have, and I think we'd be giving yourself a disfavor if we didn't have Councillor Jiguer out there. As much as I don't want to throw more on his shoulders, he does have experience in the forestry sector, and I think, you know, it'd be beneficial to have him there at the table just as an asset in that conversation. You know, obviously pending his acceptance of that, but.
Councilor Jiguer?
Thank you, Councilor Brennan. Yeah, no, my issue right now is we have different people reaching out to different entities. We need to decide if the town is saying this is important to us and we are going to engage, then we need to be engaged. I don't want to take anything away from the committee, the work that they've been doing, and I think it's very important. And I think, you know, they bring a lot of great, diversity, but then their letters need to go through us, and then to the ministry. Because if they're writing letters and we're writing letters and we're asking for things, and then they have correspondence and then we have correspondence, it's like, who answers to whom? Right?
So you're saying it should be one voice from the community?
It should be one voice, in my opinion, to the community if the objective is relatively the same. Because on the ministry side, who's doing the ask? Who is asking? Is it the forestry group? The IFCC group? Is it mayor and council? Who's actually doing the ask? And right now, it seems like we write a letter, we get a response. I say we. But we don't all get the response, as I seen tonight in this package. And then there's correspondence given back, but we didn't vet the correspondence. The correspondence doesn't come from the town. And I think that's where, the IFC is losing maybe some ground there, because they're doing what they can, but it's not coming from us. It's coming from their committee. So if we want to actually try to advance this. And if we're gonna tell our community member that we've done everything we can, then we have to take the ball. We have to run with it. And we have to rely on our volunteers and the community members to keep giving us the information that they're giving us. But if we're gonna leave it on their shoulders to try to set up these meetings, then I think we're going to. And to no lack of them trying, but, you know, you requesting a meeting, should have, you know, maybe a little more attention given to it just because of the position, right? I do think we need to find some kind of common ground. I think part of the issue in what the ministry wrote back is there's a lot of uncertainty with the community members and going, yeah, right, you're actually not going to do this. And how do we hold them accountable, right? So some clarification would be nice, but yeah, I would gladly sit in on that meeting to see if all parties can come to a resolution, but it needs to come from the town. It needs to come from us. That's how we elevate it.
Councilor Todd.
Somebody else might wanna comment?
I just wanted to say, if the timing of the meeting, helps and if I could free up my time there, I would like to attend the meeting, so it makes a stronger voice.
All right, with all due respect, council has already made a decision to essentially empower the IFCFC to be its spokesperson with the industry and with the ministry over these issues. And the reason why I believe that council did that is because council does not have the expertise or the time to do the stuff that this volunteer committee is doing, and certainly not the expertise. So while I don't disagree that, and that's why the information normally flows either to Brian, the CAO, or to the mayor. So it's not like council doesn't know what's been going on. And I've been giving council as much information as I possibly can. I've been wanting to give you more, but often, you know, other items take precedence. But I think this is really important. I fully understand the need for forestry. It's you know, on behalf of the IFCFC, they're not tree-hugging anti-forestry people. They want to see forestry. They recognize that this is a forestry-based community and that there's a lot of money that's made for not only you know, with jobs, but also through taxes, stumpage fees and whatnot. So, however, to say that council needs to take it over now, thank you very much, IFCFC, move aside, we're going to take the lead on this. I think that's a big mistake, given where we're already got to. It was difficult getting them talking to us to begin with, and now we're just going to throw that out and say, let's start it all over again. Then we're going to end up in a real quandary, and nothing's going to get done. That's what I believe. So that's what I'll just leave it at that and let somebody else.
Maybe I'll rephrase, maybe I wasn't clear, I guess, in my first half. I wasn't for once saying that the committee should no longer be involved. But if they are going to send correspondence to anyone on our behalf, we should be made aware first.
Not on your behalf. It's not on the town's behalf.
You want to call the meeting to order? We just went through a procedural bylaw, your worship, and we're supposed to talk to yourself. I've waited my turn every time. I've been respectful. I'm just asking for the same in return.
Go ahead, Councilor Jiguer.
If there is going to be a letter submitted on behalf of residents, committees, the town, we need to make sure that that letter is, one, in line with what we believe, two, that then it has our logo on it. Like the committee brought this forward, we got this tonight because they're not getting what they need. So if you want us to help and you want us to engage, we need to be fully engaged.
So can I ask a question? We want to bring this to every council meeting. Would we have a subcommittee of council that would go through this correspondence? Is that what you're recommending, or go ahead?
All I'm recommending is that if we are going to send an email asking on behalf of the town, that if our letterhead is gonna be on it, that it comes from us, right? Take the recommendations, if the committee says, hey, guys, we believe as a committee, we need to send this email to whoever. Then let's vet the email, make sure that's what we gotta do, and then send it. I just wanna show that we're united and have one voice. I don't want them to be sending certain emails and then us to come in halfway and then send another email basically saying, hey, can you look at the first email, please, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to take nothing away from no one. I understand that people, have probably countless hours, and I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong. I'm just saying, we should be engaged enough then to have, our name on it, if that's.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, I'm just asking, like, do we all approve these letters going out? That's what I'm trying to get. Do we have to have another meeting, or should we have a subcommittee of council? Like yourself and Council Five and whoever, one other one, to go through every one? That's all I'm asking. Council, what you get?
I believe last time we had a little, we had formed a little side panel there to send out correspondence, but now if we're gonna have a special meeting, if we're calling a special meeting to see what we want to send, then I think that that's more than sufficient. But again, I'm just saying, I just believe, if we're gonna take this on, then we need to be fully engaged.
So I think the next step, we should have a round table with certain councilors before we have another special meeting, because if you have a special meeting, then you have everybody in there, you gotta go through all the procedural bylaws and everything, and there's rules to follow. So I think the first thing is a round table with the ministry, the other committees and stakeholders, and 3 members of council. And then maybe the 3 members of council with staff can go through email before it's sent out, if that's what council wants. Councilor Rambat.
I'd just like to mention, correct me if I'm wrong, Councilor Jiguer, there is a small misunderstanding of what we are trying to achieve. We are all trying to accomplish the same thing. But what he's saying is, if the letter goes from a council, from our town, compared to the committee, then it gets more weightage. And all he was asking to do is, if committee is trying to do something, and if we are agreeing with it, we just did it in the past, like in recent months, that they formed an email and we tweaked it a bit and we added some that we needed to add, and we removed some, and then it went from town. So I think what he was saying is, if it goes from town level, then we will get more response, and we will have a united stand.
But I'm not disagreeing with that at all. Where I'm coming from is that with the subcommittee of 3 members of council, go through this process with staff before the letter. Instead of calling a special meeting of council, we're all involved in it.
Yeah.
I don't see that beneficial at all.
Or we could have it added in our agenda, and then we can discuss today. We have done it in the past.
But the thing is, I don't think there's a time sensitive manner, right? So
For those,
you'd be
yes.
calling a lot of
I
special
agree, yeah.
meetings. Councilor LaFawn?
As far as letters being sent under Iroquois Falls letterhead, January 30th this year, there was a letter sent by council to the director, or sorry, the regional director, district manager, sorry, Wesley Woods. And dear Mr. Woods, following our previous correspondence sent to you on this exact day of last year, this letter is to inform you that the town of Iroquois Falls is in full support of the efforts and intentions of the Iroquois Falls Community Forest Committee to preserve, conserve, and protect the forest within the municipality. This is specifically the case as it relates to Clerk Block 190 and the proposed salvage harvest at Rice Lake. Furthermore, in consultation and alignment with the Iroquois Falls Community Forest Committee, the town of Iroquois Falls is formally requesting to pause and refrain all proposed salvage harvesting at Rice Lake until the town of Iroquois Falls and the IFCFC are satisfied with the proposed harvesting prescription on Clerk Block 190. Duly signed by Gilles Giguère, acting mayor, this past January.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm hearing a lot of things pertaining to the same thing, and I feel like everybody's in agreement, but everybody wants to get their 5 cents in here. Can we set up a round table, Your Worship, with the 3 people who have expressed their interest and move forward with this tonight?
I agree.
Thank you.
So
There's a hockey game.
Yeah, Councilor LaFawn, Councilor Jiguère, and Councilor Brambat want to sit on that committee. So that's the 3 members of council representing it. Committee. So I guess, because I'm not able to attend because I have a quorum, Councilor Jiguer would have to be, the chair of the meetings. So you're all committed to being on this committee?
For myself, I mentioned like if we are gonna have a meeting for this
A round
topic
table?
that we are discussing.
Yeah.
Then if my calendar permits, I would attend, but I don't mind attending these meetings as well going forward if I'm available.
Yeah.
What else?
So you're sitting on the committee?
I'll sit on the.
That's all I need to know. Okay, perfect, you're all sitting on the committee. Okay,
If, we're- sorry, Mr. Mayor, if we're looking at striking a committee and there is no commitment for people to be able to be there, should we not have an alternate, at least one? Let's say there's 3 members that you appointed, that you would appoint.
Yeah.
Would there be an alternate? In case,
Sure.
because you want 3 people there, right?
Councilor Shalba, you want to be in on that? Okay.
Alternate.
Your worship, just to clarify, who will we be engaging in this roundtable? The IFCFC and the ministry that is.
I believe so. Who else? Is there anybody else you
I think
recommend?
the forestry company needs to be
Councilor
there.
Jiguer?
We're gonna ask to meet. right?
Yes.
Like,
We're gonna ask for a round table.
okay, yeah, perfect.
Yeah, because there's sorry, Mr. Mayor, like Councilor Charlebois suggested, this is maybe the beginning of a wonderful relationship that we can have with the ministry that we've been trying to cultivate for the last 4 years. You know, all we're trying to do is to protect the interests of this municipality. And I think that they have to start paying attention.
And seeing that I'm not on that committee, I think the letter shouldn't come from me because they're gonna be having correspondence with me and I won't be in the loop for all these meetings, right? So it might have to be somebody else to take the lead on writing these letters coming from the town.
Well, the subcommittee can decide how to do that, but I mean, as mayor,
I can recommend,
you can still sign the letter
I can sign the letter,
As
but
recommended.
anything that comes back to me,
as recommended by the committee.
I would believe, in echoing that, I think the initial letter of engagement for the roundtable definitely.
oh yeah, but I mean after that.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Mayor Delory, if I may, the first motion was moved by Councilor Tremblay and seconded by Councilor Jiguer, just to receive everything as correspondence. If you wanted to,
So all in favor of that? Move.
and then I can read the second motion. And then if anybody would like to amend that or clarify anything, and then we can get a mover in a seconder. So this one would read that Mayor Delorier proceed with sending the MNRF a letter to initiate a roundtable discussion with the MNRF, the IFCFC, the forestry company, town administration, and members of council to discuss options regarding the salvage harvest.
That wouldn't be members, I think a subcommittee of council, would you say? Because it's not.
Yeah.
I
It
just
won't be
wanted
quorum.
to, because if we're making a committee of council for that.
Oh, it's not a
then
committee of council, is it?
Just-
Oh, is it? Yeah.
So
I would just want to look into that a little bit.
Wouldn't it be an ad hoc
further.
committee? Would this not be described as an ad hoc committee?
I think the clerk is on the right track, you know, council's decided which members would attend the roundtable meeting. I think the wording would be okay.
Okay, just because they're not meeting with all the council, right?
Right, so
So you'd be looking at a terms of reference,
Yeah.
otherwise if you're making an ad hoc committee.
Yeah, I
And
know.
and minutes and
With-
everything
Yeah,
else that
yeah,
goes
yeah.
along with that.
Correct.
So we're just asking for a round
Here
table, okay, yeah,
To have a round.
yeah, just a simple round table, yeah.
You can add, you know,
Maybe the-
town administration and certain members of council.
That, I
Okay.
like that,
Sounds good.
yeah, that's doing that.
That'll work.
Would you like to move that?
Yeah, move in a second, please. Councilor LaFave and Councilor Burnley.
And can we set this up ASAP, please?
Well, the letter will go up Thursday, and then as soon as possible.
Sounds good.
Is it, yeah. Go ahead.
So moved by Councilor LaFave, seconded by Councilor Bernier. That Mayor Delorier proceed with sending the MNRF a letter to initiate a roundtable discussion with the MNRF, the IFCFC, the forestry company, town administration, and certain members of council to discuss options regarding the salvage harvest.
And not the whole committee, we don't need the whole committee there, right? Like, you don't wanna Like you want a representative from everybody, but you don't wanna have like, how many people on your committee, on that committee? I'm just trying to be like realistic.
I would say 3.
Okay, that's it, okay. That'd be
Yeah,
nice.
it's not gonna, no, it's not gonna be 12.
No, that's what
no.
I'm worried about. Okay, it's all good.
I'm guessing a 3 would be probably an appropriate number.
Okay, I appreciate that. Okay. So any other comments or questions from council? All in favor? Great. Thank you for the discussion, that was good. I need a mover and a second that we go into close. At, 16, perfect.
We're taking another 5.
We
No.
could. We can take 2
Well,
more.
people have to leave.
Yeah.
People have to leave.
Okay, any more in a second? We're going to close. Councilor Trombley and Councilor Burton.
So moved by Counselor Tremblay, seconded by Counselor Bernier. That council goes into closed session at 8:16 PM to discuss the following: labor relations. or
Councilor,
employee
wait, Councilor, you have to come to the,
Sorry.
to the table, please.
Sorry, yes.
Negotiations.
Wait a minute, please. Please, Steve.
I apologize, Mayor.
I'll read the motion over. Moved by Counselor Tremblay, seconded by Counselor Bernier. That council goes into closed session at 8:16 PM to discuss the following: labor relations or employee negotiations, Municipal Act Section 239(2)D, concerning the chief building official position.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. We'll take a 2-minute recess. So I'm gonna move in a second for the next item, please. Councilor Jiguer, Councilor Tremblay.
Moved by Counselor Jiguer, seconded by Counselor Tremblay. That council arise from closed session at 8:32 PM with the following report. Council approved closed session meeting minutes. Council received direction regarding the following, staff received direction regarding the following: labor relations or employee negotiations concerning the chief building official position.
All in favor? Carried. Move on to the next item. Move in a second. Councilor Brambat and Councilor Jiguer.
Moved by Counselor Brambat, seconded by Counselor Jiguer. That bylaw number 382625 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council for the regular meeting of April 14th, 2025. Be read a first, second, and third time and passed the 14th day of April, 2025.
All in favor? Carried. Adjournment. And move in a second. Councilor Jiguer and Councilor Bernier.
Moved by Counselor Jiguer, seconded by Counselor Bernier, that this meeting adjourns at 8:34 PM.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. Have a good night.